And hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us for yet another Moon Colony live stream. I am your host and community manager, Wes, joined today by the illustrious Lauren Walsh. Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
So good to have you here. Let's see who's in the chat.
Yeah,
We have Dire Beast Rex, Ethereon, Festrat, another AU, Moonyada. So good to see you. Alrighty.
yeah. Hi, guys.
Thank you for coming on the show, as it were. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, my name's Lauren Walsh. Let's see. Most people know me for my work with Critical Role for Taldore Reborn, and then a bunch of like merch that I've done for them. And then I've also done a lot of work for Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm actually in the new player handbook for 2024,
Oh, wow.
which was a major that was like one of those things where I did it and I was like, wow, I've made it. This is so cool. um but yeah, so I'm in done a lot of work for Wizards of the Coast. I'm in a bunch of books throughout 5e. And then I've also done like a bunch of like other like tabletop smaller companies within the tabletop space. I've also done Lorcana. So I did a bunch of concept art for Lorcana
Mm.
before everything launched.
Oh, wow.
I can't share what I did
Mm.
because it's all under NDA, but I
NDA is
did it.
purgatory, of course.
Yeah. And then I've also done some cards for them as well. And the other thing, I've also taught at Moore College of Art, which is like an all like it's like a women's like illustration school here in or art school in Philadelphia.
Mm.
And I taught business development there, and then I also taught digital painting. So I've been like all over the place, all over the gambit. Uh, um, and yeah, for me, I like first got into art because I loved dinosaurs as a child, and like what's like one of my first memories was like drawing dinosaurs underneath my like chair in my bedroom.
Aw.
I don't know where it went, but it was like my Sistine Chapel of dinosaurs. So
The Michelangelo, yes.
yeah, 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 yeah. But then a lot of people also, I mean, obviously, I'm like super into like fantasy art in
Mm.
general. My big thing was that when I like back in the days of DeviantArt, when DeviantArt was still a thing.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it's still a thing, but like back in the day,
Mm.
like,
Yeah. The heyday.
I like. Yeah, 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 yeah. I like saw like a drow for the first time on DeviantArt and I
Mm.
was like obsessed. But like at the time there was like it wasn't as accessible to get into D&D back then as it is now.
Mm.
And so I never really like got to play, but I was like, wow, like this is really cool. And then I went to a movie and then I saw a cinematic for World of Warcraft like come on there and then I saw the
Mm.
night elf like from
Oh,
the first ads
of
and I
course.
was like, "Oh, I don't know who she is, but she looks like a drow and I'm totally in." And then so began my decades long obsession with World of Warcraft. Um, I would say like the art design, like the art of WoW has been like a huge inspiration to my own work of like kind of like finding that in between of like stylized realism and then like realism kind of
Mm.
vibe. Like I also had a lot of influences from like anime, like dude, Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day,
Oh, of
like
course.
oh gosh, I was obsessed with Yu-Gi-Oh as a child. Um and also like mythology and stuff. So like all these things like really influenced me wanting to be an artist. And then yeah, now I'm like actually just like drawing elves and getting paid for it, which is like the
The
dream.
dream, yeah,
Like,
of course.
not much else I could say there, but yeah, that's who I am. And yeah, do professional stuff and then you might also see some of my like my more personal stuff where like I draw a bunch of like all of my characters I play in WoW because I have like a lot of characters in WoW. They're like paper dolls where I'm like,
Mm.
I'm never gonna play this character, but I want to like make a
Yeah, just
character that looks
customize
like
them, yeah.
it's yeah, 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 and then I leave them there, and then I never play them again. But yeah, so that's basically who I am. But today I think we were gonna be talking about creature and character design, right?
Indeed, yes.
Um, so yeah, Basically I thought I would approach this to help with people that like maybe are a bit more beginner to intermediate, or like you want to make your own characters. Um oh yeah, we did talk about Land Before Time a lot. Yeah, sorry. I'm
Oh,
looking at
interesting.
chat really
All
quick.
right.
Um but yeah, so no, we I was like wanting to approach it from that level, or like if you have like a D&D like OC that you want to design,
Mm,
like how can you like make your own OC like kind of be that next level of design.
mhm,
And yeah, so some of the things from like a more professional perspective, when you're thinking about like the design language, so like design language being like we want to be able to communicate a character to somebody without verbally saying anything,
mhm.
which is like a big thing. Oh, oh my god, I forgot about my son Wubble. Oh my god, I didn't
Oh,
even
yes,
talk about
indeed.
my boy.
Of
He's
course.
all over the things I posted. So yeah, and then I also made Wooble. He's my little guy. We'll talk about him. You'll see him
All
a
right.
lot in this. He's my favorite little comfort character.
Wonderful.
But yeah. One thing that you want to keep in mind when you're designing stuff, I know there's always like people that like want to do stuff like comics or with their characters,
Mm,
or they want to do like go in like more of like a tabletop direction with stuff.
mhm,
So, something when you're designing your characters is you want to keep in mind what you're designing them for.
mm,
So, for example, um, if you're doing this is obvious, this is not my work, but this is, some official like Wizards of the Coast gelatinous cube artwork.
mhm,
It's very detailed. Like it's conveying something that is dangerous, right? Um, it's just like you wouldn't want to draw this every day if you were drawing a comic,
Yeah.
right? But if you're drawing it one time, or maybe you're making a model one time, then you can go into more detail like this.
Mm.
Whereas with something like my boy Wooble here,
There he
who
is.
will be my little precious boy,
Mhm,
he's never done anything wrong. Um, he is more like in an animation style. Like
mm,
he's not as detailed as say like all of the all of the detail that's going on in here. Where
mm,
my brush? Oh, I had an eraser on. Like all of this detail in here, if you had to draw that every single time,
mhm,
it would get too much.
mhm. Yeah.
Especially if you're doing something like comics where like you want um to be able to show, like you have to do so many panels of
Mm,
a comic book that at a certain point it's just like too much to handle, right?
mhm,
So, for a good example of this, and we'll come back to that in a second. For those of the Critical Role fandom,
mm.
um,
Bit of Molly Mock.
there's some like Molly Mock, yeah, from Mighty Nine. His coat is literally like probably like the magnum opus of every cosplayer that's out there. Like every cosplayer that I see at a convention is like, I'm working on a Molly coat. And then they'll come back 3 years later and they're like, I finally finished it. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, and it's like super, super detailed. And then you see, if you haven't seen the new Mighty Nine show on
Mm,
Amazon, you can see that his coat is way more simplified. Like,
mm.
there's no way that frame by frame they would be able to animate all of these details over and over and over again.
I mean, that would
So
take them
when you're
3 years.
doing,
Yeah.
oh God, yeah. Like no. Um so like I saw a lot of people who were kind of like upset online that his coat got so reduced, but like you have to. There's no way that you can animate this. But in a tabletop setting, this is totally acceptable and like you can get as detailed as you want to because it's a still image, it's not getting animated. But that's something to keep in mind. Like, are you designing something that's only going to be drawn like a few times, or maybe like designed in like uh for like something like maybe like a model of some kind, or are you actually going to have to animate in like constantly moving situations or comics where you have to be getting stuff out super super super
Mm,
fast. So something to keep in mind when you're making your designs. But yeah. um The other thing is uh working with um like the design language of something like the gelatinous cube here, where like it's very obvious that it is just a straight up cube. Um and like oh my gosh, I'm gonna be grilled on my D&D knowledge here, but I'm pretty sure it's always like a certain amount of space for a gelatinous cube.
Hmm,
Um or is it
possibly.
change per?
Hmm.
I can't remember.
Someone fact check that. Yeah, get in the
Yeah,
comments.
someone fact. Yeah, if I'm wrong, I don't know. At me on Twitter or Blue Sky. It's fine. We can get into it there. But with this, like you're seeing all this design language where it's like super aggressive, like points. It's
Mm.
not comforting. There's rubble everywhere. The like even like the skeletons and stuff in here, like
Yeah, they look scary.
it's
Yeah.
it's very yeah, it's very violent, right? Whereas like you can still take a concept that is this and then make it a more um like a more like smooth shape, like or curved shape. So like one thing that I try to do when I'm painting Wubble, what is it? Standard is 10 foot by 10
10
foot.
by
Okay.
10.
All
Interesting.
right, cool. Okay. I knew that there I see I was like I knew there was something. But with Wooble, when I'm doing him, he's still a gelatinous cube. Well, technically a gelatinous slime, so we're not infringing on any copyright.
Sure.
Yeah. But when I'm designing him, he doesn't have any hard shapes. He's like way more of a smooth and rounded off corners. So he's much more inviting.
Mm.
Um and um we'll get into like some of his other design elements here later, of like why they are the way that they are. But yeah, some things to keep in mind with um with your character design of like, do you want to have something that's much more like realistic and aggressive and like have like hard shapes, but or do you want something that's a bit more soft and inviting?
Mm.
Um but yeah. Um Another thing is that you can also do it with I've had instances with character design where I was given prompts on like an already fleshed out character that
Mm.
just needed like some concepting for them. But then I've also had like my own instances where um I made the concepts first and then we made the stories later. So like one of those instances would have been like on Taldora Reborn, where we did um all the concepting for the characters first and then we worked on their stories later. Wooble is also a similar situation where I basically made him because I was like, because the world was like a mess and then I was like, I can't
Yeah.
take this anymore, I need a little guy. And I made a little guy, and then
Mm.
um from there he kind of like spurted out on his own and like a story came from him as I developed him more. So you can
Mm.
have like both ways of like doing like um of doing like a story first or doing like a concept first and then going from a story after that. um I like both ways personally. I
Yeah.
actually like, I don't know if anyone knows that, if anyone else plays D&D here,
Mm.
but usually for me when I'm like playing a character, it's not until I do the artwork for that character that I really feel like I connect with them.
Mm.
Like I don't really know who they are until I start drawing them and I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
well what if they're wearing such and such thing?" And like then like this whole story comes out from them like over time because of that. But some things like you can think about is like if you are trying to anchor to your if you're trying to anchor your artwork to the character, or sorry, if you're trying to anchor your story to the character first, you can think about certain things. Let me move to my other thing. Oh no, I didn't want you.
Wrong layer, Kronk.
Yeah, wrong lever. Oh, there we go. Okay. So for those that don't know, this is the artwork that I did. Oh, there's like a mark on there. Okay, ignore that. That's not supposed to be there. Or wait, maybe it's like it's not. Okay. Wait, this is gonna drive. Okay, we got the one
We did
spot on
it.
the
Yeah.
layer, everybody. We did it. We did it.
We found the spy.
Yeah. Hey, that's the worst when there's, like, a spot on one of the layers and
Oh,
you're like,
it's
"Where
like,
is
which
it? I
layer is
can't
it?
find
There's
it."
like 100 layers. I can't. They're all
Yeah.
unlabeled.
Yeah.
My
But so for
nemesis.
those that don't know, this is the Draconic Sorcerer that I did from the player handbook
Oh wow.
from 2024.
Oh my goodness.
Um and yeah, he was like a lot of fun to work on. But like a lot of things with him like also kind of apply here where like I was told that they were a draconic sorcerer. They have lineage to silver dragons.
Hmm.
They have like ice wings, and it was like, okay, now go.
Hmm.
And oh, and I was also told that they were like South East Asian as well.
Hmm.
So basically, like we took designs from like all kinds of different like Southeast Asian influences for the costume design.
Hmm.
So I actually did all the costuming for the character as well.
Oh wow.
But what I did for this one was that I was like, okay, I have this character that is they um they're proud of their lineage. That was also another thing that we were given. Like they're proud of their lineage um as a from having like connections to silver dragons.
Hmm.
So we had concept art for eggs of silver dragons. So
Hmm.
the doo, 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 all of the silver embellishments are designed based on the concept art of silver dragon eggs.
That's
So
fun.
he's like showing off his lineage in like an indirect way. And then you have um other things that are important to them. So they have top scars as well. So we wanted it to be like this like elaborate like celebration of that element of them as well. So so we wanted to have that exposed as something like this is very important to them. They want to show
Hmm.
off like who they are as a person. And then, like other little bits and bobs that you can think about is like how they interact with the world. So in the element of like Wubble, which we'll get into, he uses the sword and the arrow as his arms. So he interacts with everything with the sword and arrow. So like he doesn't want to like his desire with that is like I don't want to interact. I don't want to hurt people with my acid that as a gelatinous cube. So he
Hmm.
uses like other items to be able to interact so he doesn't
Oh,
like
that's
harm people
fun.
because that's
Yeah.
like yeah, so it's like a part of his like whole like his concept of like how he wants to interact with people and make sure that
Wow.
he doesn't want to hurt people.
Very considerate.
Um yeah. So oh, you have a print? Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, heck yeah.
I guess I don't know if you got it online or at a con, but like hello. But yeah, that's just some like little bits and bobs of things to think about. So like, think you can either do it like while you're designing the character or just sitting down and thinking about the character first of like, where are they from? What do they do? So he's like a draconic sorcerer. He's like, he's like summoning his magic and like being fabulous.
Hmm.
What's important to them? So like obviously he's showing off his lineage and like, who he is as a person. So that's very important to him that he wants to show those things off. And then again, like how they interact with the world. Another thing that you can also want to focus on too is like when you're designing anything, especially like a character, you want to have like you want to break up things. So you want to have like spaces that where there's a lot of like high detail. Because your eye is drawn to like you
Yeah.
can use this in your own art with either like sketchiness and like high like rendering of like composition of like
Hmm.
using spaces where higher render brings your eye to that space. And then there's maybe like looser render that's around it that where you're like, hey, this is like, you don't really have to worry about this part that's out here. Or you can have the same thing with design where you have like high detail and then like space that's like not as detailed, where we're drawing your face up here because there's so much that's happening down here that you're like, I want to focus right there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, depth of field blur. Yeah, absolutely. Depth of field.
Gotta have that. Yeah. It's very
Yeah,
important.
Gaussian blurs
Put it
Gaussian blur
everywhere.
gets rid of
Yeah.
all sins. Let's see. So some other little bits and little other characters in the past. So these are also characters that I did for uh Caldori Reborn. So like you can see with this one, like she's a blood mage. Oh
Hmm.
my god, that is the worst arrow I've drawn in my life. So like she's a blood mage, so we're like dealing with like almost like bone and sinew with her staff. You've got red and white and like different like drop motifs in her horns and like in the rest of her design. Also like her shape as well is a little bit like a drop of blood. So you can also like take those kinds of elements and add them into your character. There's also, you want to make sure that you're going out there and like collecting other references as well. So,
Hmm.
um, like, I think that one problem that can happen is that you get same design syndrome. Like, how like there's like
Mm.
same face
Yeah,
syndrome a lot
yeah,
of the
yeah,
time.
sure.
Like, listen, I get it. We've all used the same reference on Pinterest, okay? I know that face and that pose. Like no
Mm.
one's like I get like we all kind of like, tend to go to the same places for
Yeah.
inspiration. So like, if you want to like draw from maybe like lesser used things, like something my family is Polish. So like for
Hmm.
me with this, oh my gosh, I can't what is with me in drawing
We'll get there.
the arrows. Um for me, like my family's Polish, so I pulled a lot from uh wedding coats from
Hmm.
Krakow. So for the design of her, of like there's like very intricate like woolen coats that like have like a lot of like red like details all over them.
Hmm.
So, we don't often like we get very like European centric, but like very like to to the west, like, and can kind
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
explore other places. Um and there's like so many other inspirations other than just like dude in a suit of armor, right?
Yeah.
Like or for example with uh our character down here that's also in Taldori Reborn.
Hmm.
One of the prompts we were given, or one of the prompts that I was given for that was that she is supposed to appear like a viper. Like she's supposed to have
Hmm.
so many colors on her that she is like a viper of like warning you of like she's coming for you type thing.
Hmm.
So what I did for that one was that I actually went and I was like, okay, yeah, there's vipers, but like, what do vipers look like in like, what are African vipers? Like,
Yeah.
what do they look like? And so all of her designing here and like this motif and here are all bits of African I think it's the rhinoceros viper.
Hmm.
So there's like so I actually pulled stuff from that to like make it fit into her, so that like yeah, the viper, like we're being told like she's a viper, she's like a poisonous
Steak, yeah.
snake.
Kill some
um
vampires.
yeah, yeah,
Watch out, Starry.
with poison. So yeah, like get out there. Don't just like browse the same things that come up on Pinterest all the time. Like try and expand your references like to a much broader range,
Hmm.
to try and like bring in uh other influences, so it's not again just the same
Yeah.
concept over and over. Like we don't all need to be copying Genshin Impact for our designs. Like you know what I mean? Like I get it, they're very detailed, they're very pretty, and everyone loves them, but
Hmm. The old
like let's
Hoyoverse,
try.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even kind of WoW too, to be
Hmm.
honest. Like um one thing I've really loved about the game is how they've like been expanding their silhouettes and transmog.
Hmm.
So like if whether they've like been, I mean, I don't know this information personally, but to me it seems like there's some people that are like, hey, let's expand and give more for players to play with. As far as transmog is concerned, like we all have like the half like skirt like pant ensemble
Hmm.
situation right
Of
now.
course, yeah.
Like um but it's been fun to see how many more like casual things are being implemented to the game.
Hmm.
So it's not always like
Crazy fantasy
pauldrons the
armor,
size of,
yeah.
yeah, like I'm like, okay, I have a pauldron the size of my cat scratcher on my like on my shoulder, like Burning Crusade shoulders, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Um, but yeah, let's see. Do.
And by the way, if y'all have
Um,
any questions for
ugh.
Lauren, feel free to ask them in the chat. We'll get to them eventually
Oh yeah,
after
yeah,
the kind of lesson plan is done.
yeah, yeah. And then let's see. Another thing that you can think about too with your designs is like the shape also kind of influences your concept of them. So like she's very square, very stout, like very you're not gonna get through me kind of energy, both feet planted. Um and you have again like the with this being a blood mage, like having this kind of like teardrop shape. Um or with him, like he's like water and ice, you have like a lot of like flowing motion where it's like um it's not like super like earthen,
Mm,
kind of like
yeah.
square rooted. So you can play around with shapes. I mean, there's total like there's like a ton of YouTube videos to like get really into shape
Mm,
design and shape
sure.
language, but that could be like a 4-hour session in and of itself. um but another thing that you want to do as well is I have one more thing, but don't know where. Oh, he's down here. Another thing that you also want to do, this is also from Taldor Reborn. Don't just lock in with one design and then be like, yep, that's it. Like, um, like don't worry about like I made my one design and that's the only one that it could be. Like
Yeah.
actually like try redrawing the design multiple times. Like see like with this one, like they both have the same arm, but like what how about like a different color palette in the way that it flows
Mm,
between these two. Or like, maybe once you do a bunch of these, you're like, hey, I really like how this worked, so let's bring that back over here and like, or we like this element, but maybe the chest isn't right. So we like this one with this one, which is what we ended up doing with that as well, with my art director, Hannah Rose on Taldore. So like we like did like different situations, combined them both, saw how we liked them, and then we landed on this design, and then
mm,
like actually went to print with that one. So you want to like I personally I find that when I'm um too rigid and being like no, it has to be exactly as I see it in my mind, is when everything goes awry. Like
mm,
that's when the panic attacks start. That's when we
yeah.
start crying on top of
Mm.
our Wacom, right? Like it's like you want to like kind of go with the flow of the design and like um uh experiment. Don't be too locked
Mm,
in on one design over another, because like you may find that something else comes from like redrawing something again and you're like,
yeah.
ooh, wait a minute, that's also a cool concept. um but yeah. um oh, go ahead, sorry.
Oh no, yeah,
Sorry.
I think like a lot
Oh,
of
okay.
improvement comes from experimentation too. Like when you're kind of not in that perfectionist mindset of I need to do it right or else
Mhm.
I'm screwed. In
Mhm.
that feeling of like being kind of confined in a way. I think that's when
Mhm.
I you see like a lot of like crazy growth. Like you go from a plateau to oh, you're doing something new.
Yeah, I mean, I forget where I heard this from. But when if you don't give yourself the space to make mistakes,
Hmm.
that's when you run into issues.
Yeah.
Like, and because sometimes the mistakes is where like you find like something new, or like you're like, oh, I didn't really like it's like a mindset thing of like it's not necessarily that everything is a mistake. Like sometimes like a line goes in a certain spot and you're like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I make a like a harsher line here that cuts up over here. Like um especially if you're doing like massive paintings, like the
Hmm.
more I find, the more that you get rigid with that stuff. Like I mean, obviously, like if you've made a sketch and you're going to deliver that sketch to your client, like you do want to like stay pretty on par. Like if you don't want to like make random changes and all of a
Yeah.
sudden you give it to your art director the day it's due and they're like, this is an entirely different painting, like what is this, like um
Sure.
but but yeah, um like like be fluid, let yourself make mistakes, get into a flow state,
Hmm.
draw it a bunch of times, like um like it's kind of what's the term I'm looking for, not not like kill your darlings, but
Kill your
like it
babies?
like
Yeah.
yeah, I guess. Yeah,
That's the one I keep hearing.
like yeah, like you want to be able to um play around with ideas and not be too tied to them, because then that's where the true,
Mm.
personally, like when I started doing happy little accidents, that's a better way of saying it. Yeah. Um when I That's when I started to find that I started leveling up as an artist, when I started to be like, it doesn't have to be a certain thing. But yeah.
Mm.
Um so another thing that you can also, like I was saying before, like make sure that you're getting out there, maybe, I mean, obviously, like financial constraints,
Sure.
bearing in mind, traveling is great. Like
Mm.
I find getting out into different biomes and seeing how different biomes affect designs of homes, or how certain animals live in certain biomes versus others, and um the like I always kind of find it funny when I see like outfits of people that they're like making outfits for LA, and I'm like, "Sweetie, that's cute and all, but I'm not wearing that in February in the Northeast." Like that's just not I can't wear that out
Yeah.
here. Like I will be frozen if I do. Um and like, different biomes, like seeing how different things express themselves, because like that can also influence your character. If
Mm.
your character is from a certain place, like if we're using like WoW for example, your character design, if you live in if your character, for whatever reason, I don't know why they would live in Northrend, that sounds like a horrible idea,
Hey, plenty of
but
people live
like
there.
if yeah, yeah. Now you don't have to fight undead every day. It's fine.
Yeah, it's easy.
But like if your character lives in Northrend, they're going to have a very different character design to somebody that maybe lives in Duratar,
Mm.
right? Like it's two completely different biomes. The real estate was cheap. Yeah, I'm sure it was. I'm sure it
A lot of
was.
empty Nerubian housing. For those who
Yeah,
don't know,
yeah.
by the way, Duratar's a desert, and Northrend is an Arctic
Oh
kind of.
yeah.
Yeah. For anyone who
Sorry,
might not be
everybody.
aware
Yeah,
of the lore. Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry, I'm just talking like everyone knows the Lord so intensely.
most people probably
Um,
do here.
yeah, probably, yeah. But so you want to like think about those things and like how that interacts with that character. So like,
Hmm.
or maybe their worship. Like
Mm.
if you have a character that is like a Kaldori, that maybe, or a night elf, for the
Yeah, of
normal
course,
normies
yes.
out there.
Hmm.
Um actually, as a fun like little like wow, Lauren is like totally a nerd. There was a certain point where I was able to write in Darnassian to my friends
Really?
without needing to translate. So like
Wow.
I'm a really big nerd, y'all. So like
A Lunadori then.
yeah, oh my god, yeah, Dure Adore. Yeah. So anyway, um maybe your faith also can influence your character design. So like if you're a Lunite, or if you worship a loon, or you don't even have to be a night elf. You could
Mm.
be, a Gilnean or something,
Mm.
maybe instead, um, or the Worgen for people that maybe are
Werewolf
not,
people, yeah.
yeah, werewolf people and
British
WoW.
werewolves, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that.
Not too wrong.
So I bring up the Lunite stuff because technically this character here is a moon worshiper, but
Mm.
for on Exandria. So
Mm.
like in their universe, they have a red moon that is
Mm.
Rudis. So that's why we have red in this like
Oh, okay.
lunar design. And then obviously like a lot of times with like, moon deities, you might play
Mm.
around with like dark and white and
Ah,
silver elements as well. So that's why we have this red in here to symbolize the second moon. That's a red moon. Um,
that's awesome.
so yeah, just little bits and bobs where like the faith of the character might influence who they are. And um yeah, so try out different shapes and stuff with that. Let's
Cool.
see. I have another note. Oh, also, another thing that you may want to do to expand on your character design is go to museums. Like
Mm.
go look at suits of armor, see how they actually interact. Like, um, you'd be surprised on how um how limber suits of armor are. I mean, especially for, us fantasy nerds, if we're like
Mm,
doing like different concept art, everyone's gonna have to do a suit of armor at some point in their life.
yeah.
So like get like nerdy with it. Actually go there and like see how they work. You could also like a great reference to is oh my gosh, I don't remember what it's called exactly. The fighting league in suits of armor. There's like
Hema?
a whole I don't is it Hema?
Maybe like the
Where like
fencing
it's
people,
like
right?
no, 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 no. It's like WWE but with suits of armor.
Oh.
Yeah, and they're
Oh,
like all
okay.
like
Interesting.
is it Hema?
Might be
Okay,
Hema.
anyway, there's like you can find them online where you can actually like watch people that are like actually fighting each other in suits of armor.
Okay.
People are like able to do like somersaults and stuff like in
Hmm.
these art pieces of
Very
armor.
Dark
So
Souls, yeah.
yeah, it doesn't always have to be like clunky armor. Even WoW pauldrons probably have like a lot of movement to be
Yeah.
able to like make them work.
Sure.
Or else, I mean, aside clipping in the game aside, like where it's
Unless there's
just
big like
an entire,
pointy things that go into
entire
your
pauldron.
head if you raise your shoulders, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah. And then another thing is like, like look for other inspiration around you. Like, for example, like Wubble is very inspired like by my cats. So
Hmm.
like um uh there's like all kinds of like inspiration or like one thing that I think that you should always do is like collect references consistently across the board. Like you never know when you're going to need like, a reference for like specific type of metal or like how like certain scratches appear in it. Like I always get like I've had multiple times where I'll be at the gym and then I'll be like I'll look at like like the rope pull down thing at
Hmm.
I don't know what it's exactly called, but it has like there's usually like a metal like thing right there.
Hmm.
Every time I'm like obsessed with the metal thing because I'm like there's like all kinds of scratches and gouges in it and stuff and I'm just like
Yeah.
taking
Like
I'm
an
like
art
over
thing
here like
called retexture
lifting.
studies. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's like this dude who's like, oh, and I'm like here like taking pictures of the thing, like, oh my gosh, look at these textures. This is so cool.
Love that.
So like you're having a massive collection of references is huge.
Hmm.
And I say this even with like a character like Wooble, where let me bring up a picture of my boy. Oh my gosh. That's not what I want.
Oh, look at that! Look at that guy!
There he is.
Look at that
So
man!
these are early sketches of him before like uh he really started to like um develop. But like it's more so in places here where you can actually see his like evolve, like how he evolves. So like, these are like actually like these are the first sketches that I ever did of him
Oh wow!
versus how he evolved into this now. So he's much more
Mm.
cohesive. He has like better like a better design language in general. But like for even for like a small little character like this, you would think to yourself, I don't need to know anatomy. Like I'm just drawing a little dude. Like I don't have to have references for drawing a little gelatinous cube.
Hmm.
But you actually kind of still do. You still need to know anatomy even though you're drawing a little guy, right? Cuz I run into that a lot with like people when they do chibi stuff.
Yeah.
If you're doing like cutesy chibi things, a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, that's just my style. I don't need to know anatomy." And it's like, "Well, yes and no. Like, because a lot of the time, especially like with anime, like the amount of
Yeah.
times where I've had
Yeah.
students who like they just recreate what they're seeing in anime
Hmm.
or manga, and like it's like the nose isn't exactly where it should be, and they're like, well, that's just my style. It's like, well, yes, but are you like, do you realize that the mangaka or like the person who made this, um, is they are using their information on anatomy to stylize it to make it something else. So like even though it looks like it's cute and simple, like even with Wooble, there's so much thought that goes into how do we reduce this into this. So even though if you want to go for like a cuter style, I definitely think that like um you really, really wanna focus on that as well, when you're doing, like, any kind of design. Like, in my opinion, it always starts with anatomy for any character. And even like if you're doing creature design, I don't know if people know of RJ Palmer on like
Yes. Hmm.
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
About yeah.
Like yeah, yeah, yeah. He does like great work where he's like pulling from different like actual real life character, like real life animals, and then like using that to inform other like designs, like fantasy design. So like you're still using reality to inform fantasy. So it's still important to make sure that you're using reference, even though it's like you would think that none of this like this little like gelatinous cube needs any reference, but I can tell you right now there's a lot of weird pictures of me in my phone to try and make that work. um I actually I got like a bunch of pizza boxes and I put them on my head to like figure out how you would actually be able to hold um a like a plate of pancakes.
Hmm.
So you don't think that you would need reference, but yeah, it's still definitely something that you need to do.
Yeah, gotta know the rules
Um,
before you break them.
mhm. Yep, exactly.
Um,
Oh, good.
yeah, there's a great Magic the Gathering card, I believe, called Storm the Seed Core by, I believe, Jason Rainville. And he
Mhm.
posted like a picture of himself edited into like 8 different poses all in one room, just to
Yeah.
kind of get him. Oh, I think we lost you. Uh,
Oh, what?
the collab cam just broke. That's fun.
Oh no.
Chad, can you still see Lauren, or do we need to fix this real quick? Audio's still good. Okay. Let me send you the link
Let me
again.
try again.
Yeah, that's odd. Can still hear but
Am I
can't see
back?
Lauren. Um,
Oh.
let
Do you see my screen still?
I cannot see your screen, and I also can't see.
Hmm.
Oh dear.
I'm a ghost. Hello.
Um. Well, anyway, maybe we can
I don't
answer
know
some
what happened.
questions while this is happening. Uh, if anyone in the chat has some uh things they'd like to ask Lauren, feel free to do so now if you'd like. As I try to solve this technical issue. Um, but yeah, no, that's really fascinating about the like knowing the rules of like anatomy and also like color theory. And I think a lot of people do kind
Mhm.
of use that excuse of like it's my style, especially in uh you know student work where they don't really know why they need to know the
Yeah.
fundamentals if they don't plan on doing realism. um
Yeah, that's mostly where I see it too, is mostly with students. Or like if you know that you like a certain design or you like a certain style, but you don't know why you like it.
mhm.
Um, oh, and like, and also I feel like a lot of the times people, kind of, what's the best way to phrase this? They they don't realize how much work goes into designing, like mental work. Like there are some people like I personally, I'm very like, ooh, I'm thinking this through, getting all my references, like thinking up concepts before going in.
Mhm.
But then there are other people who are just like, they literally just like, they sketch something and it's gorgeous and they're like, there you go, it's done. Like
Mhm.
where I tend to be a bit more like, I tend to be more of like really thinking through a concept, and also like rewarding people that are like looking at the artwork.
Mhm.
um I love rewarding people for spending time looking at my work. Like
Mm.
there's always something in there where you're like, I wonder if she put that there on purpose, and I'm like,
Yeah, the
nine
intentionality.
times out of 10, absolutely. Like
Mm.
um should I drop entirely really
Yeah,
quick
so
maybe?
I'm gonna restart the application real quick. Feel free to drop as well, and we'll just do a
Okay,
quick reset, and hopefully that will fix the issue. So yeah,
okay,
we will see you
quickly.
all in about 5 minutes. Thank you for joining us. We'll be right back.
BRB, quick bio.
BRB. All right. Mm, yeah, the UI is completely okay. All right, resetting Streamlabs. An error occurred. Yes, keep streaming.
anatomy. Yeah, well, the other one was like color palettes too. Like,
Hmm.
one, one you see this a lot. Like, actually, to be honest, I would say that I feel like Moon Colony does this a lot in
Hmm.
like your Warbringer shorts and stuff too, which
Yeah.
is like a 60/30/10 color split.
Hmm.
Where like another one that does this really great is like the Arcane show, like
Yes. Ooh,
on Netflix. Like
love it.
um the color there have
Hmm.
been so many times with that show where I just started crying because like the composition of every shot is like a splash screen. Like
Hmm.
it's Arcane is just a 10 out of 10. Like I mean, this is okay, not to get on a tangent. Season 2 wasn't as good as season 1 in my
Hmm.
personal opinion, but still the art design
From a visual
is
perspective,
amazing.
it was
Oh yeah.
always
Yeah.
artist
Yeah.
card carrying.
Yeah. 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 Just like in WoW.
Just
Like,
like, yeah, exactly.
the art team never fails.
Our team's always
Um
amazing.
so so like you'll have like 60% of a scene that you might have will be like a specific like color, and then
Hmm.
maybe like bring in the composition to like a certain point where like that's your 10. And like that's where you want like all of your eye lines to go to, is like that one specific point.
Spoke willing, yeah.
um
Hmm.
yeah, so like it's drawing your eye into like a specific point, or even like with a character design like Wubble, where like he's mostly green, so like I would argue that like this green tends to be his like primary 60, and then
Hmm.
you have like the teal, which is like his other element, and then he'll usually have like brown in some places. So it's not the perfect color palette, but like it has like a similar vibe to it. Also on a fun note, um you'll actually notice that his color palette changed
Oh.
slightly from the beginning to this one, where it's like a slightly different green that's
Hmm.
going on here.
Yeah.
And that was a limitation that I ran into when I started making like stickers and prints of him, is that his
Oh.
green is almost impossible to print
Like in
like in physical
CMYK.
medium. Yeah, like
Hmm.
even CMYK, it's like like you would have to do like a very specific type of printing to make that green work, and I
Hmm.
was just like, okay. like like greens are like notoriously, I didn't realize when I made my little guy that people wanted merch of, that
Hmm.
greens are notoriously hard to like
Yeah.
make work in like physical media. So again, like another character design issue, like if you're like in the tabletop version versus the animated version, um the um you have a similar issue with like something that exists only in a digital space versus something that can be put into physical media. So you have limitations as far as printing goes as well. So all types of different things to think about, where it just gets very heady at a certain point
Hmm.
of like what you're trying to do. So a lot of like Wooble's color palette changed over time to reflect the fact that like he's being printed in physical media, to make sure that green works over time. So um but yeah. Um, another fun thing that I would definitely recommend y'all do, is like making like design sheets for your character,
Hmm.
or like color palettes that you can have. I tend to do the same thing with Wooble, where like I always use like a specific image of him as my like color reference for him. So even like my own character, while I can draw him from memory, like there's no issue of me having to look at references of him, but I do need to like reference his color palette a lot to make sure that I'm working within the the greens that can be printed essentially.
Hmm.
So, and even here, some of these greens are still kind of like a little bit hard to get right. Um, but yeah, other than that, um, I don't know if oh, I didn't even talk about Wooble, his design. Oh my gosh, here I am about to move on, and I didn't even talk about the fun part that I want to talk about.
Oh no.
Um, so let's see. So I'm assuming there might be some people in chat who have seen Wibble before. But so taking like everything um from like what we've been talking about, I'm wondering if there's anything that chat notices that maybe they think were intentional decisions.
Mm.
If chat is still going, but I'm not sure if we lost people
I
from
think
our
we got
tech.
chat. Yeah, feel free
Okay.
to contribute if you'd like. Yeah, this is a fun game. Wubble friends present and accounted for. We've rallied them.
Yeah. Oh, I can't see chat. Oh no.
Oh no. Um,
Unless there's no one saying anything. And then
Art by Lore is rallying
yeah,
the,
yeah.
the Wubble people. Um,
Oh.
51 IP says bones to demonstrate the dissolving aspect.
Mhm. Yep, definitely there. Also like the bones are always kind of like a similar set of bones. So we have like a very clear like concept of like skull and femur. There's always a
Hmm.
skull and a femur with
Yeah,
him.
Direbeast Rex just
Um
said that. I wonder if the inclusions inside them are standardized. One skull, one femur, then the sword and arrow.
yep, 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 yep.
Uh,
Um
Galactic Fire Pup says little bits of them coming off, like the kind of like chunks of slime.
mhm. Yep, like um I include that also for like showing scale too of like
Hmm.
little chunks that might exist. Um and also to show like that he's kind of some I also like to do is that like the chunks are reacting in the same way he's reacting. So like
Hmm.
if he's leaning back, the chunks lean back. So it's kind of like showing how he has like there's still a part of him, so his like sentience is like a part of like all these little bits of him kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's definitely one of them as well.
Art by Lore says using the sword and arrow as little arms is one of my favorite parts of his design. Me too.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So one thing with him that I did for that as well is that he has them turned inward. So if you notice that both the arrow and the
Hmm.
sword have like the
The pointy
dangerous
bit.
parts are like turned in, so he's
Hmm.
can interact and like not harm things.
That's
So
fun.
um yeah, he like if people are I could actually give you his little lore bit. But he basically has this is where like he first was just a little guy, right? It would just draw like we just did like a little drawing of him. And then over time it became the question of like, well, I people asked if they could hug him.
Hmm.
Like for context, what happened was that like when I did Wooble, it was on Twitter and I posted him and then a bunch of people were in the comments like um he looks so cute. And I'm like, okay, well, now he's jumping because he's really happy. And then he's going super fast and he's like trying to like run away. And now he's sad and tired because he did too much, or he's going on an adventure to like go see the world. Um, and it was like this kind of almost collaborative art direction from the
Hmm.
community. But at the time, I was also like starting to work on like he at first his sword and his arrow were just things that were in him, but eventually over time I realized like, oh wait, I can actually show um how his emotion through the sword and the arrow. So like he's sad, so now like they're pointing downward. Or he's like jumping, so they're up here because he's excited and he's like starting to use them as like little arms. Um and then eventually over time they became full blown like appendages. So like how do you how does a slime carry things? Well, he puts a bunch of sticks in him so that he can carry food and like go deliver it to people or something like that.
Hmm.
um or how do you balance like a plate of pancakes on you when you're a tiny little slime and balance them with a sword and arrow? So it becomes like an interesting kind of element to his character design where he's like engaging with things and using the sword to his like little arms to be able to like move things around. Or if he has a weapon in him, how does he even hold an axe if not to just like he has to like put it inside himself, or like holding a staff where like part of it is inside him, because like truly like it's not like he can grab things, but he can like insert and hold at the same time to like engage with things. So there's like a lot of fun. He's a really great like experiment to like figure out like how to simulate the ability to like he's fun to like simulate anatomy and that he has appendages to use,
Mm.
but then also like how he's always in this like if I saw it earlier, um but like in the kind of like the sack of flour
Yeah, like a water balloon
uh
almost.
mhm. Like, has people, you'll have to tell me. I can't. I don't see
Yeah.
chat on Streamlabs, but
Mm.
tell me what people say. But have people heard of like the sack of flour exercise, like from back in the day with Disney
Hmm.
and
I
stuff?
haven't actually.
No. Okay. So the sack of flour design or exercise is where I'll just like make like a shape, right? So like, um, oh, that's a horrible shape. Hold on.
Mm.
Where you're like you have like a sack of flowers, so you're like showing um the shape of a sack of flour to like simulate like some sort of emotion. So
Mm.
like we got like a little sack of flour guy here who's just, just standing there. Or you have a um a sack of flour that maybe is jumping. So like we'll like play with perspective a little bit.
Yeah, Manabun says the anatomy is kind of reminiscent of the carpet from Aladdin, and I can definitely see it. Like the
Yes.
expressiveness of
Yes.
like
Yes.
literally just a rug, but like all the like
Yes.
carpet folds are
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like when like or like how like the carpet would like um maybe like let's see. Oh, that's let's see. Trying to think of how he would like how he would do like it might be like leaning over down or something like that like on
Hmm.
like well they also use in that one they also use his tassels a lot to
Yeah.
like show
All the little
his like
hands kind of.
what he's doing.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he is even a little harder because like you can kind of get away with some like funny little shapes or like maybe we got a little sack of flour here who's like he's maybe he's like falling or something like that. Like
Hmm.
you can play around a lot with dynamic shapes like you have like the bottom half which is like the lower half of your torso,
Mm.
like your legs, and then you have like this part which is like your upper trunk area. So like
Yeah.
how much like motion can you show with just like that part of your body as opposed to needing your face to convey anything.
Mm.
And you see that a lot in animation where like they'll like over exaggerate like um the motion of something to like really sell like the um the motion of something like it's like really like stretched out or something like that. So um but yeah, that's like the sack of flour which like a lot of Wubble is kind of based off of. You can well actually with that one in particular, you can see a lot of Wubble in there.
Yeah. Diabetes Rex says
Like
a few of the furniture items from Beauty and the Beast did the same thing, like the footstool being a little
mhm
lapdog, or
mhm
in Latin, like the tassels are pointing down from Nulancore or Nulanor.
mhm
Nulanor? My apologies. But like they're falling down, like someone's like, really? Hmm. Okay.
yeah 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 yeah.
All right.
um I do feel like there's like other ones I hear too where you're like seeing him be as like tall and happy up here and then like super flat
Yeah,
and
squash and
down
stretch. Yeah.
over here. Yeah. So like you can also use that too in your own like this is actually to be honest, this is why I feel like stylized realism is so much more superior in some ways
Yeah.
because you have the ability to like kind of exaggerate some anatomy and like really sell something. Um whereas like if you lean into to reality too hard, you kind of start to lose that ability. Like if you
Mm.
go like because I do find that like I find that like uh I think WoW runs into this a lot. Now, this is going to be controversial for the Night Elf community,
Oh
okay?
no. All right.
For the Elven community, where I feel like a lot of the times there's certain elements, like for like Night Elves or elves in general, like with their eyes and how glowy they are.
Oh
Like
yeah.
if you put like them on people, hashtag the Warcraft movie, where it's the weird pink people with like the bright glowing eyes and weird teeth, and you're like, what was that? like, like that, you kind of like run into issues when you start putting certain design elements that like are very hyper realistic with like
Mm,
something that's much more obviously kind of more cartoonish. Like to me, the Warcraft style has always kind of been almost like obviously it is what it is, but it also feels very inspired by like Warcraft minis to me
hmm.
on like because that's always kind of been, I've always wondered this of whether or not that was design direction, but there's like certain elements where like it makes sense on a tabletop mini,
Yeah.
but then it gets expanded into this bigger size where like if you look at at Warhammer minis, the pauldrons are just as big as Warcraft pauldrons.
Yeah.
And like and we know that like Warcraft was
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, it was supposed to be Warhammer at one point
IP got
or
a whole thing.
y-
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
well, I mean,
Yeah.
also like just being isometric, like all three of the original games, where all the designs came from. It's
Mhm.
like this top-down view. You definitely need that kind of uh, top heaviness or like strong silhouettes of
Mhm.
armor. So I definitely can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like, for me, I just, like there's something too also about, like, the hand painted style,
Mm,
like, a lot of little whether or not that's, like, still something that's, like, a part of art direction or not, like, obviously, like, I wouldn't know. I would love to work on Warcraft one day. That would be a literally, I would die happy. But, uh, but, like, um, it's always been something where I'm like, "Man, I wonder if that was ever a design, like, instruction, is to, like, lean into miniature design in some way, like, but make it work like, especially early days, like, design-wise." But anyway, sorry, I could talk about WoW's art forever.
yeah. Direbeast Rex
Uh
says, thinking about Warcraft 3, the bright glowing eyes in elves makes more sense because the models were so tiny it conveyed an alien trait very like
Mhm,
instantly. So yeah, it makes sense.
mhm. Yeah, but then, like, you get into situations now where, like, I know everyone was, like, in an uproar about, Liadrin's eyes weren't
Oh
glowing
sure.
in, like, the Midnight cinematic, right?
Mm,
And it's like, in my mind, I'm like, it's like a weird spot where it's like the eyes of elves are so glowy that it could almost, like, take you out almost of, like, connecting, which I think they had said something to that effect, but, like, that when you start going harder into realism, you start running into issues where it
mm,
starts to it's the uncanny have people
yeah.
have heard of the uncanny valley, right?
Yeah.
Like okay, like, so, like, essentially, like, the more for those that haven't, um, the more realistic that you go, like, you start getting this, like you start to, like, critique it more. So you're like once you're like in that like, if you're in that stylized realism area, you're kind of like your brain's like, yeah, 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 whatever. It's totally fine. Like, sure, those pauldrons could be as big as they are. But then like you put that like on like a person and it's like you start to be like, well, the proportions aren't right now. So now we're running into these other issues where like you don't know why it's not I mean, most artists know, but like you kind of run into these issues. You're like, I don't know why this is not working for me. And it's usually the uncanny valley.
Yeah.
When you start really getting into that like hyper realistic situation. Um, but yeah.
Oh,
Let's see. Oh,
uh, Richard, one of our recruiters at Moon Colony, says, I worked recruiting artists on World of Warcraft, and miniatures is definitely part of the art direction. So, very good observation.
see, yeah, there we go.
um,
Yeah, for me, I do like a lot of mini painting myself, like as like my own little thing. And I've always kind of thought that like especially the way that the bevel works in art
mm,
the WoW art design is the way it catches the light on those parts to me, I'm
yeah.
like, "Oh, that's dry brushing from miniatures." Like that's why everything has like this like
Yeah.
catch of
Like,
light
shows that kind of
on all
like,
those.
the pivot from like the
Yep.
pauldron,
Yep,
has
yep,
the
yep. Yep,
really
yep,
cool,
yep.
like, solid design. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, Well, heck yeah. Oh, now I'm like super proud of myself. I'm like, wow, I've been confirmed on that.
Heck yeah.
um, but yeah. Let's see. Um, is there anything else that I want to talk about with Wooble?
Lasatho says,
I'm
ugly
pretty sure that's all.
Sonic's teeth are the perfect example of crossing the boundary to the uncanny valley.
Yes.
Jump from stylized to
Yes.
surrealistic, yeah.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Oh, the
Or
Sonic
like
design.
Stitch. The weird Stitch design where you're like, guys, we really don't need this to be like hyper realistic. Like,
Mm,
yeah, like for me, I feel like a lot of the times it's the teeth. It's usually the
yeah.
teeth where like once like a design starts going from like a character that's very much like unrealistic, like from animation or like a very stylized position,
Yeah.
and then they go into teeth and they start giving like individual teeth for
Individual.
everything, and I'm
Yeah.
like, ah, no, ah!
I'm
Like,
picturing like a Lightning McQueen, but every
oh, with teeth, oh no, I'm like,
live action Cars
no,
remake,
God,
y'all. It's coming soon.
that would be, ooh,
Oh.
I don't know how I feel about that. I
We have a
mean,
question from chat.
mm,
Dire Beast Rex says, coming back to Wooble, did he choose to do his
hmm
eyes in a rabbit or hamster-like manner, all dark, no white sclera, as a way to convey that level of cuteness as well? Because giving him human eyes, even stylized, would have crossed that boundary for sure. I also just noticed he said no
yeah,
teeth.
yeah. No, I kind of lean into so with him, I kind of leaned into like he has a lot of cat elements, if anyone's like
Mm.
super, super into it. Oh my gosh, I didn't even show everyone else too. Man, I got so distracted. Um, but yeah, his eye shape is always, let me move this to the side.
He
So
does have the
his eye sh-
colon 3 face.
oh, yeah, very much so. Like so his eye is always like some sort of like shape like that. Like there's always some like which if
Mm.
you put that like let me like just like put like
Yeah.
a little nose and all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, wait a minute, that's a cat eye." Like, so um like, it's my meow. Oh my
Aw.
gosh, hi
Your
meow.
kitty.
Um but yeah, his eye shape is always that. In the beginning, it was more of like this kind of shape.
Hmm.
Um but it was like a little bit like flatter and then like over time it became like more of like a cat eye shape over time.
Mm.
Also like I feel like, with cuteness you're trying to go for those more like large eyes,
Mm.
like the amount of the amount of times I've had people be like, "Oh my god, it's Grogu." And I'm like, "There's no ears. There's no ears. Why do you think it's Grogu?" Like he's green, he has like big eyes, like but at the same time though, like Grogu is all and from Star Wars is designed with those bigger eyes to like convey that kind of like baby cuteness type vibe. Um which like, that's kind of like the element that we're going for with Wooble here where like he's his whole thing that I was oh my gosh. Guys, ADHD, the tangents are crazy. But something that I was trying to explain before was that like with his dungeon, like he's like a little guy in a dungeon
Mm.
and he wants to make friends. So that's why his design is like he's like trying not to hurt people. He's trying to
Yeah.
like turn like anything that could be damaging towards himself because like it's an interesting concept to have a gelatinous cube that on touch would hurt you.
Mm.
So it's almost this kind of like a desire for him to want to make friends, but he knows that he can harm you, so he doesn't want to do that. Like
Yeah.
um and so like, working that into his design is such a like a major integral part to his character of like he wants to make friends, he wants to give out hugs. Um but like one thing that he can do though, because he actually does have a stat block and you can find it on D&D and Beyond. But he has a huggable barrier that he can activate.
Oh wow.
And then that way like you can like still like give him a hug and like not take acid damage because he doesn't want to hurt people, right? Um so like having that as like a core element of his character kind of led into a whole world that I've been working on for a while now. And like uh why, how does he operate? Like, what are his goals? Like, he eventually wants to leave and like see people and meet people. Um, which I can then
I
introduce the other characters.
oh yes, I've been waiting for this. Heck
Yay!
yeah.
So basically, like the concept is that he leaves his dungeon to go and explore the world, but then he meets like a mimic named Mimi, and
Oh.
then an owlbear named Cora, and like their whole concept is that they're going out into the world to explore it together, um, and just like kind of like how does that look for, a gelatinous cube? Like, this is like a weird joke, but like a gelatinous cube, a mimic, and an owlbear walk
Walk
into
into
a
a bar.
bar. You know what I mean? And like, but they want a job. You know what I mean? So like,
You all meet in a
that's
tavern.
actually, yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's actually one thing is that one of his things is that he actually gets a job at a bakery,
Oh yeah.
and then because he finds out he needs something called money. So like, how do you deal with a gelatinous cube who walks into a village and then goes, "Hey, I'm gonna go and grab that," and be like, "Well, you need to pay for it," and then you have to explain money to a gelatinous cube, which, I mean, that's I love that kind of stuff. Like, um, D&D is great. But yeah, like so you also have like other, like now we have these new characters that are showing up. So like
Mm.
how do they complement Wooble in his design? Like a lot of their color palettes, like we have similar
Yeah.
greens in the
Yeah.
eyes. The browns are also like the same browns as his arrows. So like we're maintaining similar color palettes to show cohesion between all three of them. And then their designs have also changed over time. So
Interesting.
the mimic has gone from something that's like just a normal little tongue situation in a bag to a bit more like a pug element. Um, so like Wooble is kind of more of a cat. You have Mimi, who's like if you could hear Mimi, I feel like you would just be hearing like
Yeah.
like pug
Like
snorts
oh.
constantly. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Yeah, yeah. Lots of slobber everywhere all the
Of
time.
course. Yeah.
Oh, and then we also have canonical sized Wooble. He
Oh.
is literally just like up to your knee. Basically the story is that these are I do convention exclusives every
Mm.
year. So like there's always a Wooble for that convention per year. So this year he's like making maps and like where he wants to go.
Oh.
And at the convention he gets a photo op with a celebrity. But the fun element is that like, well, he's tiny, so you're not gonna be able to see the celebrity if you're like taking a picture that's like closer on him. So but one element that I really love about Wooble is that he's always happy in what he's doing, even if he's doing it wrong. He's doing it his way, which is
Mm.
what, he's happy about doing that kind of thing. So, um, and yeah, but you can see the change in elements, like where we have a bit more of a like big paws on Cora, a little bit more of like a flumpy kind of design. And then Mimi is becoming more and more like showing off like little bits of teeth and a little bit more of like a pug dog situation. And then Wooble is kind of starting to lean more into like a cat kind of like um toddler, a cat toddler. But yeah.
The two most
Um,
destructive forces in this world.
oh my gosh, yeah. Were there any more questions? I guess if we wanted to do some questions. I also thought it might be fun if we made up a little Wooble design together too
Hmm.
with chat.
That could be fun. Yeah. Some kind of like special crazy situation for Wubble to be in.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
I love
yeah.
it. Also, yeah, I think Cora had the biggest glow up of like the designs. I love like the
Oh,
shape language of just like a dog who doesn't realize how big they are. It's
yes.
um
Yes.
well, just a big puppy. Um,
Mhm, mhm. I also put a lot of myself into Cora too, because like I know you probably can't see it on camera, but I'm 6'1", so
oh
like
wow.
for me, like I've always just felt like, even as like a teenager, just like, hey, I'm gonna like hurt people if I like do something, or like if I like, or if I like hug my grandma too hard, I'm like, oh my gosh,
Mm,
like, like feeling kind of like you're this like giant and not realizing like just how big you are all the time. Like I'm actually, to be honest, even at my age now, I'm always shocked when I leave the house and I'm like, whoa, I'm like massive. What's going on out here? Like, but I put a lot of that into Korra of like this
Mm,
kind of like you don't realize how big you are until you're like um engaging with something kind of
mm,
thing. So um but yeah, basically a big dog doesn't know how big it is. Like
mm. I love Korra. Korra's my favorite.
big.
Um, Salad Bandit says, "What do you sell at conventions?"
Um, I sell mostly like my own, so a lot of Wubble stuff, like stickers and stuff like that. Um I've been expanding out into like pins and like actually uh stream exclusive.
Oh wow!
We're working on new button down shirts that should be coming for Gen
Ooh,
Con actually.
I love a
I
button
won't be at
down.
Gen Con, but the shirts will be there. So
Hell yeah!
um but yeah, that and then I'm also working on a setting for Wooble so that you can actually like play through his dungeon. It's been a
What?
lot of work. Like doing it on the side while doing client work has
Mm,
just been like I'm just like I get to it when I can, but like it's something that I've been working on. Um and a lot of like, fan art of like also my critical role stuff that I've done. And yeah, so conventions are a lot of fun. Um they're very like they're like a lot of energy all at once and they're like
mm.
very um it's so nice to actually engage with people cuz like
Yeah.
especially with my career a lot of it has been like social media based and stuff. Um and um So, like, relying on community engagement is, like, a huge part of my career,
Mm,
um, but it's to actually, like, talk to people face to face as, like, you start to realize that, like, each like is a person.
yeah.
Like, each comment is a obviously, like, yeah, you know that, but, like, there's I think that sometimes, when you're starting out as an artist, especially in social media, you start to be like, well, only 5 people liked it. And it's like, okay, well, what if 5 people were in front of you right now telling you how much they loved your artwork, as
Mm,
opposed to just looking at 5 likes, right? Or even like 100 likes. What if 100 people were in front of you, all telling you at once that they love your artwork? Like that feels different than like, oh, it's only 100, um, so that's the beautiful thing about cons is like the engagement of the community and like actually seeing people because sometimes it's just like this is my whole world and
yeah,
I'm
it's
just like
very isolating.
in this one little spot. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm alone in a dark, dark room
um
just drawing for hours a day. I don't
yeah.
see
Yeah.
anybody.
Like I always joke that I get all of my social interaction like in like massive doses at cons
Mm,
because like they can be exhausting. Like if you ever want to be a con artist, it's a grind. Like it's a hard grind to do. Lots of travel, it has its benefits. So, but yeah.
yeah. Good if you're a social introvert, small doses of just ton of
Mhm.
socialization all at
Mhm.
once. Um, New says, apologies if this question was already asked, but what would you say
Mhm.
is something that you can always feel you can use improvement on, just always to be learning? Uh,
Me personally or in general, I
I think
guess.
just what would you say is
Um
something is that can be improved?
I think um texture is always a good one, I
Mm,
think, like, because, like, I do find, like, even myself, if I were to be an art director and critique my work, which, like, I mean, when am I not critiquing myself constantly? But, like, I think, like, adding more texture for certain things, like, doing texture studies, like, um, making sure that the cloth and the metal are different textures and rendering and stuff.
mm,
Um, I think it also depends on, like, what you're going for, because like, there's a lot of artists that tend to be very, like, specialized,
mm,
right? So, like, you have some that are, like I've actually ran into problems with this with, like, applying for, like, conventions before, where they're like, "Well, your art style is too all over the place." I'm like, "So you're saying I have range and that's a bad thing? Like, I don't what do you mean?" Um, but like, like if I'm doing uh if I'm doing like if you're like going more for character design, I would say like doing studies of like maybe um studies of just like fabric types, uh maybe studying things like, oh god, one thing I love is watching the behind the scenes on any like Game of Thrones shows.
Mm.
The dress designs in Game of Thrones, like,
Mm.
oh my gosh, like just the way that they pleat things and like make like dragon scales out of pleating and fabric. Like, it's amazing. But like studying things like that, I think if you're starting out, I think like leaning more into anatomy if you want to be doing characters like um drawing over and like where I'm at now in my career, I can be able to like, make anatomy work like very very quickly. Um just like based off of like, I mean, not exactly, but like at this exact moment, but like I'm able to like make anatomy work, um because I know what the proportions are of a figure like that. Now,
Mm.
if I want to be like, I also feel like with that too, like you're able to like expand on like the body shape of like making a more of like a triangle shape or like more of like a square shape over time. But you have to know what parts of the body can be exaggerated. I also feel like sometimes you can other things that you can study, obviously like if this is within your physical, like if you're able to physically do this, like things like weightlifting, if you're doing like character design where you actually like know how the body is moving, like
Mm.
knowing where
Yeah.
how the lats will actually like come across the back,
Mm.
knowing that like because you can actually like feel what you're doing when you're doing those things. Or even stuff like makeup. I know that like for me, one of the things that helped me with portraits was being able to know of like, oh, I want to accentuate X, Y, and Z on my
Mm.
face. And like using makeup to learn how to do that was like um something that also like you can still do studies of the self and like and observe through other means other than just like putting pen to paper, right?
Mm.
Like or to tablet, I guess in this case. But yeah, that's kind of the direction I would go with that. And repetition. Like you start to um I had a period of time where I actually had hurt my arm that I draw with, and I didn't draw for like a good 6 months to like let myself heal. And I realized how much visual, like how much I had like almost preloaded in my mind prior to being hurt that I had to reload into my mind again when I was
Mm.
like coming back into drawing again. Um, and a lot of that is just repetition, like drawing things over and over and over again and doing studies. And, and here's the thing. Listen, I have ADHD, okay? Telling me to do studies is like, okay, that's not going to happen. But if you say, hey, you have a character you want to draw, go draw that character, make that into a study. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
if you have some sort of like limitation like that, like find ways to gamify it. Make
Yeah.
it like something that you um like, oh, I need to work on my character design. You know what, I'm gonna go and draw my D&D character and like make a new or go make a new D&D character because my DM is killing my character right now or something like I don't know. um but yeah, gamify it if you're having a hard time with studies, like make it into something that maybe like if especially for like again people who maybe have ADHD and stuff, hook your horse onto something that you are hyperfixating on and study
Mm.
from that. And like that's been something that I've had to like learn over time of like being like, oh, I need to like hook this to this. It's great.
Yeah.
Trying to find ways to make it happen. It's a game in and of itself,
No,
so
I'm
yeah.
exactly the same way. I need to like,
Mhm.
connect it to an interest somehow if I want to like actually make myself productive. So I
Mhm.
totally empathize. Yeah, like what do you find is like the best way to kind of study? Like are there any like methods that were really effective for you that help you learn a lot, like gesture, figure? Um,
For me personally, so backstory on me. When I was in college, I went to Penn State University
mhm.
and I studied fine art. I didn't even really study character design. I didn't study illustration. I didn't study any of those things. To be honest, I had avoided color my entire college career because I was terrified of it, right? Like color theory was just like it was my final boss. I was just like, I can't that's too much for me to try and figure out. And now I'm obsessed with it. But I think for me, what I did was I did a period of time. I don't recommend this because it can lead to burnout. Burnout's a huge thing that you should always
Mm,
be aware of, especially if you have ADHD or anything like that. Like the burnout is real. But what I did was I started drawing a bunch of characters over like a month period where I was like getting reference paintings, and what I was running into at that time in my career, or not even career, like I was learning at the time, I was taking too long. I was taking a painting and I was like painting every pore and
mm,
like getting really intense with it and like copying it down to the T. And then I was like, I forced myself to be like, "No, no, no, put a timer on, study the painting. Whatever you get done in 2 hours is all you can do." So then it becomes a race over time of, like, improving my speed and, like,
yeah.
okay, 2-hour period, boom, has to be everything. "Oh, we're an hour in, I haven't done X, Y, and Z yet. Okay, well, we gotta do da 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 da," and it, like, helps with improving your speed. Um if you can, getting in front of live models is great. I know that that can be very limited based on where you are or like, um, I know if you're in the Philadelphia area, there's a couple, which is where I'm from. But there's a couple different like live model places that go still out here. But again, like there's also like live model sessions that you can do online where like they have like an image up for 5 minutes, so you're like, oh shoot, I gotta like draw like this person like very quickly like in 5 minutes, like, and then it becomes a lot of like gesture lines of the figure that's in front of you as opposed to like I'm sitting
Yeah.
down and I'm rendering this thigh until
Yeah.
it's perfect,
Hmm.
like because I do think that it is a lot more about understanding like the actual figure as opposed to just, like, getting it perfect. Like, yeah,
Oh my
um
goodness. Void Brush, thank you for the raid of 76 people. We are
Oh,
honored to
hi.
be joined by you. Yeah, welcome. Yeah, we also have a great observation from Direbeast Rex,
Mhm.
not to plug the Moon Colony Discord, but there's a new weekly warm-up that can help with that. I really enjoyed Line Decker Week. Yeah, we're actually doing a
Oh, yeah.
Master Studies series. So we've done Line Decker, we've done John Singer Sargent. The next, uh, the next master will be either Rembrandt or Norman Rockwell. So keep an eye out for that.
Ooh.
Um,
And Rembrandt's great if you study his his pen and inks are, like they're awesome.
mm,
Like, yeah. That was also a major inspiration for me. I had a tutor that did master studies and stuff when I was, like, learning through him,
mhm.
and it was being able to, like, do pen and ink as opposed to being able to erase things was, like, also
Mm.
very intense of, like,
Yeah.
"Yo, you got 1 shot, 1 kill," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like like
But also less perfectionism. Like you can't like always be
Mhm.
like noodling on everything and trying to erase it. Voidverse says,
Yeah.
Yo, it's Lauren. Hey, welcome. And Wobble.
Hello.
Wobble too. Absolutely. All right.
Yeah, my boy, my precious boy.
Awesome. All right. Do we have any more questions from Lauren? Currently, we're doing, we'll just stream kind of about, character design, finding some methods of studying, like
Mhm.
learning what works for you. Voidverse says,
Also,
I'm.
if
Mhm.
oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Voidverse says, I made a Wubble fan art drawing some years back. Whoa, that's awesome.
Oh my gosh, really? Ah! Yeah, we were actually just talking about his character design. But yeah, I guess like a quick up for like the new people coming in. We were talking about I mean, aside from the character design stuff, we were talking about like the character design decisions around Wooble a while ago of like his shape language is very soft. His he always has his like little like sword and arrow arms and stuff. but something like that actually like changed over time, where like now he's like, he's much more clearly using the sword and the arrow as his arms for things. Um and yeah, just like how he's kind of like expanded over the years. So um yeah, what I was gonna say too is like if you have questions too about like social media stuff, I'm also happy to touch on those things too.
Oh,
It's not
sure.
necessarily character design stuff, but
No, go for it.
it's another element. Yeah. Um Only if people have questions about it. That's a whole stream in and of itself just to talk about social media like
Yeah.
for uh for artwork.
I mean, I'm curious, like, what do you find was helpful for you as like an artist growing your social media page, kind of finding your way, through these very like nebulous, opaque platforms where it doesn't tell you how
Mm,
you can actually get your art seen by people. Um,
yeah.
I think folks would love to hear about that.
Yeah. I mean, for one, it's also it's I will say right now is the hardest I've ever seen on like trying to expand.
Really.
I would say that the social media element at the moment is like if you had rewinded back like 6 years, it's a whole different method. Whereas now it's like uh like with TikTok getting purchased. When it got purchased, the algorithm changed. So
Mm,
all of a sudden a lot of people were reporting that like um they weren't getting as much engagement on TikTok anymore. So that means that the algorithm changed on TikTok. But
mm,
where there's certain places like Instagram is really popping off like at the moment. So you're like seeing a lot of growth on Instagram. Blue Sky has its own issues. But does tend to be like much more I've found it to be much more art community focused. So like there's also like the great scattering of Twitter
yeah.
of 2023 where like one thing I will say with this is that you have to follow the fandom that you want.
Mm,
Or you have to follow the person that you're trying to engage with. So
yeah.
like if your goal is to become to grow your following and to become a big artist or whatever, then like you have to do a lot of work and a lot of time to grow a following. Like
Mm,
um I kind of came into I feel like becoming a big artist. I mean, like I understand I have many followers and like I am who I am. And I am very grateful. But it is it took like almost 5 years of grinding to even get to the point that I was able to like actually like explode and like start to like get a lot more followers, which at the time was on Twitter.
mm,
And
mm.
um
Ooh.
at the time that's also where like a lot of like tabletop was. So like if you're trying to go for tabletop, if it had been like 2020, right? And you wanted to get into tabletop, you should have been on Twitter, right? Now, since like Twitter has kind of like, become what it is now, those different fandoms have all kind of splintered. So like the tabletop fandom is like kind of on Blue Sky, kind of on Instagram. So like right now is like a weird some fandoms went to Tumblr, some fandoms like splintered off. Like there was just a period of time where Twitter like was encapsulating so many different things and they all scattered. So like now it's like you have to kind of be engaging with like you need to be on Instagram, you need to be on TikTok, you need to be on Blue Sky, you need to be on all these different platforms and engaging with them and your people. Like the one big thing that I think is a mistake sometimes for people that are trying to grow their followings is like you want to engage with the people that that are like that like your work or like go talk to other artists and like build community like um you don't just post something and expect it to just like explode. Like you want to actually like engage with topics, like which is why Twitter was as potent as it was, because you could post artwork and then also like engage with the discourse.
Mm.
like like whatever thing is like going on at that time, like right now like the discourse is always about AI. I just that's a whole thing that I will not get into today. Um but like or there was a period of time where I think like people are still trying to find their footing because there was a lot of Twitter going the way that it did really scattered a lot of fandoms. So I do feel like things have settled, but at the time, like it depends on what fandom you're looking for. Um, but I think Instagram and Blue Sky and TikTok are always kind of a safe bet.
Hmm.
Um, Twitter kind of, but to be honest with you, I'm not seeing any artwork in my feed anymore on Twitter. Like, and I refuse to call it its other name,
Yeah.
but like I just I'm not seeing as much artwork on there, so like I've kind of just been like, I'm not I'm not really fully like wanting to engage with this.
Mhm.
Um and the other thing too is like, if social media wise, if you're trying to like not go for a following situation and you're trying to go more for like, hey, getting in front of art directors, like you would want to be putting your artwork like on like Art Station, or doing portfolio day on like Blue Sky and Twitter and
Mm.
stuff. Like cuz I actually got hired for a lot of tabletop stuff because of portfolio day.
Really?
Um and yeah, like a lot of independent people were like browsing portfolio day for artists. And then my big break was that I was at C2E2, and I had done like a piece of artwork for like a fan art of Critical Role, and then Matt Mercer came down and met me at
Oh
the
wow.
end of the convention. I I was like breaking down my setup, and then I heard my name from behind me and I turned around and then like there's Matt Mercer. So
What?
I freaked out, I screamed "No," and I ran away from him. I came back eventually, but I was just like my body just went into full fight or flight mode, and I was just like booking it down the aisle. Like I was like so yeah.
Oh my
But
goodness.
that was kind of like my big break because then they started hiring me for more stuff after
Hmm.
that. Um so you never really know like where your break will come from. Like um and yeah, so that would be my some of my tips about social media. Also, like just keep posting and like I cannot drive it harder home that the grind is of nothingness where you're not getting anything really like coming to you could be years, and like then all of a sudden like you'll have a piece that pops off, right? Like so just like if you're just starting out or you're grinding and you're like, I know Lauren, but I keep grinding and it's not coming, and I'm like, it listen, it took me like 5 years like to
Hmm.
get there. Um so yeah, that would be my some of my tips. But
Yeah. Whitebush says, yeah, I got most of my TTRPG work via Twitter, often multiple inquiries a day, but now it's been
mhm.
literally years since last request. But my art still gets the
Mhm.
most engagement there, which, yeah, it's,
Mhm. Yeah.
that's
I
great.
think another element to add to that too is one of the reasons why you may not was the whole OGL debacle with Wizards of the Coast and
Mm.
D&D. If people don't know about what the OGL was, there was an open gaming license on oh, we could talk about licensing all day long. That's my I love licensing.
We have
It's
another,
my
another question
that's
lined up, but yeah, feel,
yeah,
go
yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, that's my lizard brain topic is licensing.
ahead.
But and I love a contract. Ooh, give me a
Mm.
good contract. I love a contract. Um, but yeah, so the OGL, they kind of like I think the OGL scared a lot of creators because before the OGL, there was a ton of like 5e projects that were constantly going off like for on the side that weren't like officially like Wizards of the Coast things.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons why 5e exploded the way that it did was because Wizards didn't have to make like new content all the time because there were like side creators that were making content like that were like modules for 5e but
Hmm.
could still be sold.
Hmm.
Then Wizards of the Coast came out and said like, hey, everyone who makes profit off of the OGL now has to pay us, and everyone went yeah, no, bye. And then people like the big ones like Critical Role, that's how Daggerheart came to be, where like
Hmm.
they were like, we're not doing that, we're gonna go make our own system. There was also I think Matt Coville also did the same thing where like they had a massive like D&D presence on 5e. They left and made their own system. But because of that, now you're putting all this effort into making a whole new system and not necessarily releasing new product that has new artwork constantly. So it kind of
Yeah.
disrupted the ecosystem a little bit for the tabletop freelancing scene. Um, but yeah, anyway, what's the
Yeah.
next question?
We have a question from A Gamer Draws. Do you have tips for
Hmm.
balancing real world cultural influences in a fantasy world for character designs, like with the draconic sorcerer shown earlier?
Hmm. I try to treat it um for I think there's like a separation between like making it too um you always have to kind of steer with stereotypes.
Mm.
Especially if you're also like bearing in mind too like maybe cultural things that are closed practices like or things that have like cultural significance that maybe like the best one I can think of is like if you're like trying to draw a character that's Japanese influenced and you put them in white and you're like not realizing that actually that's like a funerary color as opposed to like where if it's a western like concept it's like actually that's not like we do black type thing. So like you want to bear in mind like a lot of like cultural differences like of why those things might have certain bearings. um,
Mm.
there's also um I like to personally pull from like my own culture a lot of like again, like I have my Polish heritage, like I still have family in Poland, like so like I still have a lot of connections with that. Or like, pulling like my dad's Irish, so like pulling from like Irish connections. And like, just leaning into how I would want to like approach a culture if I was that person, like, pulling from um things with respect, but not like not stereotypes or
Mm-hmm.
what's the other like especially like negative ones, right? Like
Mm.
you want to like actually respect the culture and like really do your research and like figure out like, you know, uh like, for example, like, one little thing that I loved, like and again, this, like, comes from, like, watching anime all the time, is, like, his little fabric is, like, from different, like, celestial goddesses and stuff.
Mm.
So, like but you wouldn't know that unless, like, you're, like, a huge anime nerd or, like, super into, like, those different cultures. Um, but yeah, just to treat it with respect. Don't ever try to steer away from stereotypes. You know, and yeah, and then sometimes it's also good to have friends of that culture and pass it by them and be like, "Hey, what do you think of this? Does
Mm.
this resonate
Yeah.
with you? What do you think, um how do you think that this looks or, what uh like and taking those criticisms with respect too, of being like, "Oh, yeah, no, that's a good point. I'll change X, Y, and Z thing."
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how I would go about those things.
Heck yeah. We got about 15 more minutes here, so if anyone has any more
Yeah.
questions, feel free to ask away. This is something I wanted to bring up earlier, is I hear
Mhm.
you had a Warcraft themed D&D game. If you want to
Oh,
talk a bit
yeah.
about that. Uh,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so if you don't know, I haven't definitely don't have like a map of Azeroth
Azeroth,
right by
yeah.
me or anything. Yeah, yeah. Or I also have my pride and joy. I had to get the
Oh my
collector's
goodness.
edition for this was from the collector's edition of The War Within. I love
Wow.
dwarves from WoW. I love Wildhammer dwarves.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, this is my other pride and joy. Um,
That's so cool. My goodness.
technically a tax write-off. Ooh.
Business expense. It's a reference for my
Yeah,
art, of
it is.
course.
Okay, but it is for actually though. I've actually see CIRS. I used it in
Yeah.
a business thing.
If anyone's watching this
um,
stream right now, you know.
yeah. Yeah, no, I have like obviously I've been talking about D&D all this time and WoW, so like you would obviously, I love both, but I run like a little like D&D campaign that's like set in Azeroth and it's been a lot of fun because like all the players in that game they have no idea about WoW lore
Oh,
at
really?
all.
Oh,
So oh,
fun.
it's been it's like the funniest composition of a character character collection too, because it's like two gnomes,
Mm.
three goblins, a half orc, and a night elf, and a Drakthir
Oh,
all together. And
that's
I'm like,
fun.
the goblins and the gnome, like it's funny to me because like they don't even know that the goblins and gnomes should be like going at each other. So they're just like, it's just very interesting to see how people play in the setting that don't have any concept of like,
Mm.
I guess like I guess like pre-existing like stuff. Like
Mm.
um yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like, and it also has just been like super interesting to break down the setting and like make it into a D&D setting. So I've I've gotten so into like different things in like WoW lore where I'm like trying to understand like how like mage portals work and like how does this work, and like there's not really a setting to explain those things. So I'm like out here like literally in the deep tomes of the lore being like, wait, so they did what? That's how they go through the twisting nether? That doesn't, what the heck? Like, because like trying to explain it to people is like it's a great setting. It's one of those things that
Yeah.
I wish we had like a actual tabletop like RPG book. Like
Oh,
I know there's the one that exists. I know.
there's a couple.
Um yeah. But like I don't know, it's just such a great setting to like play through. Especially with like D&D, and like it's been fun trying to figure out how to like I actually like, gave everyone their racials too. So
Mm.
like the goblins all have goblin boots, the gnomes all
Ah.
have like escape artists and stuff. Like the night elf has shadow meld, but we like had to work with like the D&D mechanics to make shadow
Mm.
meld. So so yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, I once ran
Yeah.
there's like a fan made 5e Warcraft rule book, and I tried running like a
Mhm.
three
Oh, I
shot
didn't
out
know
of
that.
that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can link to you after the stream. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's super fun. I also played with a bunch of people who had no idea about Warcraft. Like one of them knew a little bit about
Mhm.
Hearthstone. That was about it. So I was like, perfect.
Yeah.
I can just like run them
Yeah.
through a dungeon in WoW, and that can just be the
Yeah.
whole
Oh my god.
story.
I didn't even think
uh,
about doing that.
yeah, we.
Running them through dead mines and just
Oh.
being like, "Hey, we're just doing Westfall this weekend." Like, that's awesome.
That's awesome. Hell yeah. Yeah, it was
Yeah, I mean, their first encounter was against Murlocs. So, I
classic.
did yeah, I had to make the Murlocs be like their first one.
Oh, now I got the Dead Mind song stuck in my head with the Jesse Cox.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
we got a question from Dragonstain. Do you have any
Mhm.
advice or blah, blah. Do you have any advice for stretching your comfort zone while doing character designs?
Mm,
Hmm.
mm. Um, like as in like trying to think.
I guess like maybe getting out of like your general maybe like what you tend to do versus things you want to experiment with more.
Mm. I For me, that's where I would go and like study other people's designs
Mm,
and go and like especially like art books. Like one of my
mm,
favorite art books is the Overwatch
yeah,
like art book
that's a good
where
one.
you see how many iterations they went through for each one. Like
Mm,
um and I also like sometimes I'll go out on ArtStation too and like go look at like some concepts that people are working on. Um and just kind of like try and break down maybe the decisions that they're trying to use, or like you thinking about like their color palettes and stuff, like for example, like if you're not necessarily like that like if color palettes are your issue,
mm,
maybe try and like really limit yourself to that like 60/30/10, and like that's all you can use to like try and break up. I think like one thing that you can always do to level up is that kind of breaking up of the form, because I know I'd seen that in chat earlier where like, how are you breaking up the design so that like there's like places for your eye to rest, and like another thing of like thinking about like one thing I always do in my painting, in my paintings, is I always follow the lines.
yeah.
And I'm like, where are my lines going? And where are they directing things? Um like and or tangents or things like that. Um but for me it's always about the eye and where the eye is going across the figure, or
Mm,
like in the painting itself. I think like it can get really like, I don't know, I get very heady about things where I like tend to I'm like really sitting there and like lining up things on being like, okay, eye goes here, there, and like, to me, I think it's fun to almost feel like you're DMing a painting in a way where
Hmm.
you're like
Okay.
trying to like you have the player, aka the viewer, and you're trying to direct them in specific directions
Oh.
across the painting. Like, so it's more so of like, hey, person, I want you to go here, see this, and see this. Like you're like literally making like a little map for them throughout the painting with your design. So, like rethinking it from different perspectives like that, where it's not just about making something that's pretty. It's like also like how are we communicating throughout the thing. So
But Master DM, wouldn't
yeah.
that count as railroading?
Kind of, yeah. Hey, listen, if you want open box, go paint your own thing. You know what I mean? Or open map, like, yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
goodness.
very railroady. Like, I
Yeah.
won't lie about that at all.
Hmm.
Yeah.
The Noirtist says something Hardy
Hmm.
Fowler suggests is taking some art from a year ago and comparing it to your art now to see where you tend to get comfortable. Might be a specific
Mm,
palette or a way of rendering, and maybe using that as the way to find where to mix things up. That's a fun idea.
mm.
Like finding like
So,
what's your comfort zone or yeah.
funnily enough, actually, you know what? I'll drop in a piece of art here that I actually did
Hmm.
with that same concept. So this was,
Was that Gale?
it is Gale,
My goodness.
yeah. So, yeah, it's kinda like one of those things where, again, like, the comic book the convention people that are like, "You have too many styles." I'm like, "Okay, you know what? When I see this, yeah, sure, okay, fine."
Hmm.
Um, like, I tend to be more rendered, like this, but with Gale, I I was super inspired. I don't know if anyone's played Avowed.
Oh.
The artwork in Avowed is gorgeous. Like the splash screens that they have for certain things, the wall paintings in Avowed are gorgeous. And I was so inspired by like this like flat line art type stuff that I actually like went in with like a different style entirely. And like I don't draw
Hmm.
like that normally, but like it became something that like I've kind of explored more. I'm like exploring more with like other like bits of fan art and stuff. Um, but yeah, it's like totally agree that like, sometimes trying a different style might be fun if you have like doing maybe like trying the Gale piece, but like trying to do it like the Draconic Sorcerer.
Hmm.
Um like um yeah, and then also, like, what's fun too is that one of the reasons why the Gale piece turned out the way it was because I had a time constraint. I
Oh
had to
really?
go to a convention, and I was like, "I have a week to finish this." And, well, a week. I also had to pack, and I had to, like, do a lot of other stuff
Yeah.
too. But yeah, that's why the Gale piece turned out the way it was because I was, like, under a time constraint, and I was, like, trying other brushes and other styles. Like, I had, like, all these, like, different oil brushes in here that were, like, a lot of fun.
Hmm.
And but yeah, I totally agree. Like trying out something in another style, trying you know, um yeah, I totally agree with that one.
Awesome. Yeah, we have about time for maybe a couple more questions, and we're gonna wrap up. But this has been
Yep, yep, yep.
so fun. I mean, thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming. This has been just a complete joy. We'd love to have you again. Um,
Yeah, of course.
uh, yeah. Do you think there's any kind of final takeaways people should, keep in mind as they, go away from the stream, as they go back into their art lives and progressions of their
Yeah.
own?
I would say something to bear in mind, like with everything that we talked about today. Number one, there are so many resources that are for
Mm,
free that you can find anywhere. You don't have to, a lot of my stuff is self-taught. There's so many tutorials to try and push your to push yourself to new heights. And also like if you are pushing yourself and you are starting out or you are trying a different technique or style, be patient with yourself. It's hard. Like it's like art is hard. Art has a lot of mistakes. And I think that like especially character design or any kind of art, you are constantly being put up against yourself. And you learn so much about yourself when you're doing artwork because you're constantly coming up against your own shortfalls, your own issues, your own impatience, your own ADHD. You're running into all these different things where it's almost like therapy in a way where you're
Yeah.
constantly encountering these things, and you have to find a way to even not necessarily just overcome, like, I don't know, perspective or something, but like overcome your own fear, your own anxiety. um and I always find that, like, when I do a piece, that there's like, even if it's client work, I find that I'm like constantly learning about myself. Um and that's where I think a lot of the struggle is, and I think it's a lot of the times when I was younger and, like, first starting out and, like, trying to take art seriously, I was running into those issues of, like, my own frustrations, my own, I need to do this now, or, like, my own expectations even. So, like, be more fluid with your work. Try and let go, let the art speak to you, not to be all like, art teacher,
Hmm.
whatever, but, like, let the art speak to you and what it wants to be, and, like, try and follow the flow that's going on, as opposed to being like, no, it has to be this way. um and, I mean, obviously, like, if you have, like, an art director or something, like, you still have to, like, appeal to those things too, but, like, sometimes you find a new way, and then you show it and you're like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And then they're like, "Yo, that's awesome. Let's go with that. That's really cool." So yeah, just, be patient with yourselves, and, keep trying. And art is about failure and trying again and failing and trying again and failing and trying again over and over and into perpetuity. So it's a part of it's like PvP and WoW. You're supposed to die a lot, and slowly you climb up.
And if you do die, blame your team. All right.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Man, why is Horde so bad at PvP? I should switch to
I
Alliance.
don't I don't know. I don't know. Hey, sometimes, well, in arena it can get pretty intense. I think it's like, I don't know. Horde is good during the day, and Alliance is better on the weekend. That's
That's
what
how it
I.
works. That's
That's
how it works.
yeah.
That's the secret, that's the secret
That's the
sauce.
secret sauce. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Everyone, this has been Lauren Walsh, joining us for our stream at Moon Colony. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been super informative. I
Yeah.
hope you've learned a lot. I certainly have. We'd love to have you again. Where can people find you before we close off?
Yeah, you can find me pretty much at Lauren Walsh Art everywhere. I also have my all of my socials and links on my website, laurenwalshart.com. And yeah. And if you ever have any questions and you're in the Moon Colony Discord, you're always free to DM me and ask questions. I am an open book, so I'm always happy to pass on whatever knowledge I can.
Awesome, possum. Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. We will
Yep.
have um, a great weekend. We hope you do as well, and we'll see you next.